Everyone. Hi there, it's Sandy Peckinpah live with you on this Wednesday. Shavana, you are the first on today. Oh, and I think I saw Cynthia. 8-7 joined, Neurotrip joined. Welcome, so glad. DJ Neurotrip, welcome. Hi there, Shavana. Geraldio, welcome. So glad you're here and love the hearts right away. Kristen's here. Isco43 is here. Marcel is here. Marcel14, welcome. We are going to be continuing the conversation that we've had this week. Ooh, there's a blocker. And we're going to continue the conversation that we had this week about writing. And I can tell you that it got a lot of people thinking because I got a lot of feedback on it, and I'm so excited because I want to share with you what I've learned about writing. I'm an author. I've written 4 books. I am writing my 5th book. I'm so excited about it. I've been working on it all day. And what I've learned in the process of writing all these years, I started when I was in my 20s because I started working with my husband, my late husband. Oh, my sister's here. Hi, Sue. I started working with my late husband, David, on his television screenplays and movie screenplays and his novel. His first writing piece was a novel. And it was so much fun being in a creative marriage and being creatively alive that it gave me the tools and tips that I needed in order to start my own writing career. And I can tell you that I am so blessed to have so much of this, having learned from experience. Must be fun to be involved in that stuff. Oh, it is. You know, the entertainment business is a lot of fun. I miss it in many ways. I'm still connected to it through my friends and people that I've worked with, and that's really still very dear to me. But what I can tell you is that the entertainment business is a business based on very creative people, and that's you. You have the opportunity to be a very creative person. You are not meant to be on this earth and never discover your talents, I promise you. Did I ever go to movie premieres? Yes, I did, and I went to the Emmys and the Golden Globes, and it was a lot of fun. Calvier07, welcome. I'll tell you, I had a wonderful career in the entertainment business. It was my husband who was the writer and producer. We had a company that we called Dason Productions, and it was our development of all of those screenplays and ideas. And what we would do at night is we would sit on our back patio and we would talk about character development and story ideas, and we'd structure the next act for a series that was going to be filmed the following week. You know, all those things. It keeps you in a creative space that is creatively igniting one idea after another. Jessica, so glad you're here. And so, yes, it is fun memories. But what I want to share about that is that that's what we're doing here. Because when you connect with other creative people, you creatively come alive. And that's how it works. Thank you, my dear. One of the things that I love about my husband, who is in the other room, we're at his office right now, is that, you know, having been married previously to a man who was very creative, that's one of my requirements in life, you know, is that I love connecting with creative people. And to be able to find somebody in this act of my life who is creatively alive, but more than that, he supports my creativity and encourages me in ways that I never dreamed possible. And some of my best work has come since meeting this man who supports me. And that's what I want to be for you. I want you to come on these broadcasts day after day and learn with me as I tell you what I've learned and the mistakes that I've made and all that I learned from my late husband David and all that I'm learning as a writer today. The landscape of writing has changed so much. And I wish Judy was here because I spoke to her about this a while ago. The landscape of writing has changed so much that it is virtually possible for all of us to get our work out there. It used to be a chosen few. A mistake is just a lesson. Keep learning. Yes, 8 Fry. 8 Fry's wisdom. I love that. There should be a book of things that. Oh, and guess what, 8 Fry? My son Jackson is 24 years old today. Yes, 24 years old, my gorgeous boy. I am so proud of him. Yeah, it's his birthday. That's my baby. Let's see if I can show you a picture of him on Facebook. I posted a picture of him on Facebook. And I know, happy birthday, Jackson. Iban Gika, welcome. Yeah, what I love about Jackson, and I said this to him today, is that I think he was born solely for the purpose of making me happy, because this child has given me more happiness than you can ever imagine. That's him right there. Can you see it? That's him on graduation. And that was last year. He graduated from Long Beach State. And I am so darn proud of him. And, oh, he's super cute, I know. The girls just go crazy for him. I walk on down the street with him, and I literally see heads turning, not for me, for him. It's girls looking at him. And, yeah, he's darling, but he's so smart and funny, and he has his father's sense of humor. Oh, thank you. That's so sweet of you. So today I want to talk to you. And oh, by the way, we talked in the last 2 days about a desire to write is actually born the day that you first feel that desire. You are a writer the day that you first have that desire. Now it's up to you to sit down and do it. If you don't do it, then you'll never fulfill what you're supposed to be doing. And so we had good conversation. Kristen, you were in on that conversation, and how so much of, we were talking about the difference between fiction writing and nonfiction writing. And we got, if you haven't had a chance to go back and watch those broadcasts, they might be worthwhile for you to watch. And I know I was inspired by that. And Kristen, thank you so much for your input, because that helps me understand what you do also. Now, I have written fiction. I've written 2 children's books, actually 3, but the third one I didn't get published. And but I've never written fiction, like mysteries or anything like that. However, I did work with my husband on his scripts for television. Now, that was fiction. And where did it come from? From our imaginations. But where did our imaginations come from? From experiences that we have in our own lives and things that trigger us to think about other things. Writing can be divine too. I recently read what you wrote on Mother's Day 2015. Oh, bless you. It's so wonderful being a mom. I'm so lucky. So, the desire to write, don't let that die. If you've had a desire, it's there for a reason. Don't die with the music inside of you, as Wayne Dyer said. Judy, I was just talking about you. So glad you're here. So I was just saying, and I'm just going to finish this up. I showed a picture of Jackson because it's his 24th birthday today, and I was just saying that a desire to write is born the day you first feel that desire. You are a writer. Whether you do it or not is up to you. It's up to you. So today we're going to talk about good writers and bad writers. If you resist a desire, it means you have a belief that's out of alignment with your true self. Oh, beautifully put. Read that out loud, everyone. That's a good one. Yes. Don't resist it. It's more painful to resist. It's a chain. Ask yourself where the belief came from. It's so painful to resist the desire to write that it literally exploded inside of me. When I was working with Shavana, and I've been working with Sally and Shavana on their books, and they were getting so close to finishing it. And finally, when Shavana sent hers off to the publisher, it was a burning desire in me so much that I had to start writing again, because she reflected that fire. And that's what I love in working with my people that I work with. It was you, Sally, and Shavana, and Paula. When I worked with Paula, what happens is that it ignites your own, yes, it's contagious. It ignites your own creative fire and motivation. Yes, 8 Fry. I got so excited to start my book, and I'm telling you, the minute that I made a commitment to sit down and do it, I was like about 12,000 words into it before, in no time, because I was on fire. And yeah, oh yes, I'm so glad that our motivation could be reciprocal. It was, and continues to be. I just saw Shavana's book cover today. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Do you ask yourself, why the heck was I avoiding this? Always. Every writer does. Every writer says, why didn't I sit down today and do it? Yeah. Oh my goodness. Her book cover will give you goosebumps because it did me. It's so inspiring. It's everything that she is on that cover. Oh my gosh. Yes, I am so old. And wise. Why do we have all these weird people on here today? I'm having a block party. Did she hire an illustrator? She hired an illustrator. Thank you, my dear. In French, and correct me if I'm wrong, 8 Fry, doesn't the French language say, I have so many years? They don't say, I am. They say, I have so many years, as though it's a badge of honor. You either get older or die. The former is much better. That's right. I have j'ai 60. I can't even know the number. Yeah, okay, good. I thought so. J-A-I, I have, and then you say the number. J'aime. Okay, j'aime. Oh, j'aime is love, isn't it? They also say, I have hunger, not I am hungry. Oh, that's beautiful. I didn't know that. J apostrophe A-I. J'ai 65. Debbie Hutchison is here. Okay, good. All right, so let's talk about good writers and bad writers. And I'm not going to keep you long tonight because I think I have a date with my husband. But let's talk about good writers versus bad writers. I was recently inspired by reading a writer. J'aime, I am. The word for 70 is crazy. They say 60-10. I have finished, not I am finished. I am finished means done for or dying. I have finished. That's so dignified. I swear I love the French language. I love it. I took it in high school. I can't remember much of it. But when I go over to France, I start to recover just teeny bits of it. Not enough to make me happy, though. You could never keep us too long. Bless you, 8 Fry. I love that. I love your support. I love your support. Oh, and that picture, you didn't see that yesterday. That was in a little village in the south of France. My husband took that photograph of a little apartment with a ladder. I don't think you can see it really well, but the ladder is lined with potted plants. Je suis fini. I am finished. They also don't say I miss you. You say you lack me. Oh, how romantic. That is so romantic. Wow. Oh my gosh, we need a French lesson. You know, there is a woman on Periscope who teaches French, and I love listening to her. I turn her on sometimes, and it's just beautiful. So, good writers versus bad writers. Let's talk about this. Where did I get inspired? Where did I get inspired? Oh, autocorrect. That's funny, Judy. You have to tweet her to me. Yeah, I got to remember who she is. But I love her conversations. So, we all question, are we a good writer or a bad writer? And I've been inspired by Jeff Goins. Cynthia, if you're on here, I'm not sure if you are. Cynthia knows Jeff Goins. And Sally, I gave you a book by Jeff Goins. And Khalila's here, yay, with lots of hearts coming up. I have the French keyboard on my phone. Oh, lucky you. And Jeff Goins talks quite frankly about writing and his writing struggles. He has some great ideas, yeah, Cynthia says, and thoughts. And I love his ideas. And I read his blogs and I also read his books. Because he's that humble writer, you know, who just tells it like it is. Oh, no, I didn't. I heard that it was being announced today, but I didn't see it. My husband's got his eye on it, though. But you know what? I'm really happy with my 6, so I'm going to keep it for a while. And he started talking about how we all question whether we're good enough. Or am I a good writer? Am I a bad writer? What constitutes a good writer and a bad writer? Well, here are some answers to that. And he gave several. One is that good writers practice a lot. Now, how do you know if you're a good writer or a bad writer if you haven't written? Yes, it is a lot of money, but I've never regretted spending it on an iPhone, I have to say. How do you know whether you're a good writer or a bad writer until you start writing a lot? Right? Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. For some reason, I was unfollowing you. Don't know how that happened. Oh my gosh, I don't know how that happened either, Kalila. I hope I follow you. Practice, practice, practice. You're blocked again? From whom? You're not blocked from me, are you? I hope not. Facebook. Oh no. That's terrible. Judy got blocked from Facebook. Okay. So that happens sometimes. Those Facebook police have funny things that they criteria. So I want to stay on track here. So I'm going to focus. All right. So I want to focus on good writers and bad writers because I think this is important to tell you. I unfollow people who constantly share other scopes that are completely irrelevant. Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. I could see that. If practice makes perfect and no one is perfect, you should never practice. Practice makes perfect. And I'm not sure what that, okay, I got to think about that for a minute. We all question whether we're good enough. Even the great writers never feel that that last draft is good enough. I promise you that. Having been married to a writer for 26 years, having worked with writers, other writers, that were on his shows and writers that are really great, like George R.R. Martin. I mean, my God, Game of Thrones, for heaven's sakes. And I promise you that there was always a rewrite left in them. Good enough is good enough or nothing ever gets published, right, Ape Fry? Good writers edit until it's just right. But they edit for hours. They don't do a quick edit. I can tell you that my book that I'm writing right now, I'm breaking a little bit of my own rules, and I think this is important for first-time writers, to write the first draft without editing. Just go through it and get it done. Now, this time around, this is the first book that I'm not doing that. I'm starting to edit a little bit up front for a reason, because I'm looking for continuity. Perfectionism is fear in fancy shoes. That's a beautiful way to put it. Good writers edit until it's just right, and it does take hours. But there's a time when they let it go. Good writers, this is number 3, good writers take criticism well. Now, this is a really important part, and this is something that I want to honor the writers that I've worked with, that they have taken criticism really well. I did work with one writer a few years ago who did not take criticism well, and it's really hard. Neil Gaiman has a mini breakdown with every novel. Oh, interesting. I'm going to have to look that up. Thinks he sucks and isn't cut out for it. Isn't that hilarious? I know. Isn't it possible to over-edit, then lose some content? That's exactly what I'm going to share with you, Kalila, because in this next part of this broadcast, I talk about just that, so thank you for mentioning it. Good writers take criticism well, and they say thank you for the helpful feedback. Then they use it to make their work better. J.K. Rowling handled the pressure she had by denying it. By denying it, really? Oh, the pressure, by denying the pressure. When you are a good writer, you want to be better. That doesn't mean that you're perfect right now. It means that through the refining process, you get better and better. Just like the English language. The more you speak it, the more you read it, the better your language gets, the better you are. And so as you continue to write, you hone and you get better and better at writing, so your readers, ooh, there's a little gnat. You get better and better at writing because the more you write, the more you understand your own voice. We're going to be talking about your voice as days go by. Can you imagine the expectations and hype in a new Harry Potter book? Oh my gosh, can you imagine the pressure? The pressure. Every writer feels the pressure with every book. Every single book. I can remember every time my husband turned in a script, he would say, I don't know if it's good enough. Every time. And yet he made his living for 26 years as a screenwriter. And a damn good one too. Every writer struggles with criticism. Does it hurt a little bit? Yeah, there's a little pinch there. Because you want it to be right first time around. There's a little pinch. I have to admit that. But then when you recognize that it is only to make your work better, you welcome it. And that's what I want to congratulate you guys that I work with for how well you accept criticism. It's huge. That is a huge part of your growth as a writer. They use criticism to make their work better. Now, good writers, this is number 4, good writers recognize the first draft usually sucks. They recognize that. Annie Lamott, who writes about writing and about life, and she's hilarious, but she's also a darn good writer. She wrote a piece called Shitty First Drafts. And it is a fact of writing. You got to have thick skin and you'll be happier in all areas of life. Yep. Thick skin. And vulnerability, I think. I think vulnerability too. Because that makes you a better writer. Vulnerability, the willingness to tell the truth, the willingness to put yourself out there, even though it's a little uncomfortable sometimes. I'm not saying you have to reveal your whole life, but I know that there are times when it's uncomfortable to reveal, but for the story it's so important. You can never make a decision that everyone will agree on. Yes. Yes. So number 4 was good. This gnat wants me. It's a little fruit fly. Good writers recognize that the first draft sucks, and Annie Lamott wrote a piece on it called Shitty First Drafts. How real is that? It's a fact of writing. Jeff Goins says, the genius stuff happens in the rewriting process. And I can tell you that's true. When you start honing in on your voice and getting rid of the extraneous words that you throw in there, I can think of all these words like, I believe. Well, don't say I believe in your work because it's coming from you. There are times when you can use it, but most of the time I found that in going through my first draft, and welcome Alakan, when I went, oh my goodness, block party. Okay. So I found that in going through my first draft that I found extraneous words that really did not contribute but muddled my work. And so there are sometimes I get in a string of adverbs and adjectives that really serve no purpose other than to be beautiful. And those are the things that you want to cut out of your work. Good writers know how to use them carefully, not excessively. Number 5, good writers do the work day in and day out instead of waiting for inspiration. I looked on Twitter, his account is suspended. Surprise, surprise. Oh, you mean the guy that I just blocked? Thank you. You can be my block police. Good writers do the work day in and day out instead of waiting for inspiration. I cannot tell you how important this is to being a good writer. If you don't schedule your writing, it will not get done. If you wait for inspiration, 3 years from now, you're going to be saying, someday I wish I would finish my book. Do you hear that train? I have the train tracks right across from my husband's office. Trains are so magical. So good writers schedule their time and then unlock the inspiration when they sit down. Because that's what happens when you make a commitment to writing. And I shared with you yesterday that, in fact, I did this with Shavana. I told her when I was finishing my first draft and how many hours a day I was going to be writing. And I've stuck to it pretty much. They are magical. I literally was going to say that. Yes, they are. Good writers stick to it. They get to the finish line. Amateurs are the people that never finish. If you are true to your desire to writing, you will keep sprinting along with a commitment that you will show up every day and write. Trains play a huge role in Harry Potter. I just watched one of the episodes of Harry Potter the other day. Thank you. Thank you for these hearts. Who's green? Is that 8 Fry? Thank you for these hearts. I'm so grateful. So we are moving along here, and okay, thank you. We've got one more thing about good writers. Good writers push through the blocks, push through the lows, and they keep going until it reignites itself. Now today, I am so excited because I wrote a whole paper on writer's block. And every time somebody asks me about being a writer, inevitably it comes up. Oh, and thank you for these beautiful pink hearts. I think that's Kristen. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good writers push through the tough lows, the writer's blocks, and they keep going until it reignites. And it does if you push through it. And I wrote a whole paper on writer's block, and not just the usual, because we've all talked about the things. Oh, thank you, Kalila. Of course, they're purpley pink. Of course, they're you. I'll tell you, writer's block is one of those things that people ask about and seems to be such a mystery, but it's really no mystery at all to me. And I'm going to share that with you in a broadcast because as I said, having worked with a writer for 26 years and being a writer myself, I've seen what happens with so-called writer's block, and I'm going to be sharing that with you. So I'm excited about that. So if these are good writers, what are bad writers? And you, thank you, Judy. You and your cliffhangers. Well, I got to keep you coming back. I want you to come back and work with me. I love this. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so grateful for having over 1 million hearts. My goodness, you guys gave it all to me. I'm going to share it today or tomorrow. Tomorrow. Or I'm not sure whether it's going to be tomorrow or next week. I haven't quite finished it, but I worked all day. Your presence causes us. Oh, thank you. I bless you. I'm so glad. You know, this is my passion, sharing all of this with you. It truly is. So, if those were good writers, what are bad writers? Well, it's easy. Bad writers might be closed off to the concept of editing or rewriting. They might appear arrogant, but you know what it really is? It's not arrogance. It's either laziness or fear, according to Jeff Goins. Laziness or fear, and I think I agree with him. Because I know there have been times when I have posted a blog and I shouldn't have. I didn't go over it thoroughly enough. I posted it, laziness protects fear too, I posted it thinking, oh, it's good enough, and there is a point when it should be good enough, but I'm saying that I posted it way too soon. I did not edit it. And when I went back, I was horrified to see the tenses were wrong, passive voice, way too many adjectives, and it was just embarrassing. I pulled it and rewrote it. That was laziness. That day was laziness. I thought, oh, it's good enough. And that was a little bit of arrogance on my part, because I thought, well, I've written a book and I just wrote this blog and I'm sure it's going to be fine. It wasn't fine. That was my own arrogance, my own laziness. Sometimes there's fear, because it hurts a little bit when somebody criticizes something that's really important to you and really special to you, especially when you're writing your own story. When you're writing about your life, it's very painful to have someone, oh, listen, did you hear that? That's the train. You can hear it. I love it. Tucson. I love it. It's beautiful. Okay, so there's a little pinch of hurt when somebody criticizes your work, but recognize that if you've chosen the right people to share your work with, it's only to make you better. It is only to make you better. You have to live through the fear. Oh, I'm glad you're back, Kalila. What does it mean, the train? What does it mean, the train? The train is, did you hear the train whistle? Maybe not. It's going by. The train is right across the street from Jim's office. It's literally a train, yes. That's funny. It's not a metaphor. We could use it as a metaphor for something. I'm sure we could come up. We're all writers here, right? We could figure out a great metaphor for that train. You have to learn to live through the fear of feedback. And what is it going to hurt? It's only going to make you better. If you choose the right people to work with who want nothing but the best from your writing, then you'll get the best and you'll become the best, and you'll transfer from being a bad writer who fears criticism to a good writer who welcomes criticism as a way of getting better. The fear is actually worse than the feedback, I can tell you. Because once you get the feedback, once you work through the issues, you're immediately grateful. You're immediately grateful for the insight. I love that, Judy. Yeah, you know, when I gave you feedback, you were so welcoming. Bad writers can also, now this is a switch for you, so I'm switching gears here. Oh, nervousness comes from wanting to control what others think, but you can't do that, so you're nervous. That's right. You get very nervous and uncomfortable about it. Bad writers can also get hung up on too much feedback. So you see, bad writers can refuse feedback, but they can also get hung up on too much feedback. I love The Alchemist. If you haven't read it, please read it. It says the fear of suffering is worse than suffering itself. The Alchemist is one of my all-time favorite books. I can't say his first name. Paulo Coelho wrote that book. I've read it like a million times. One of my all-time favorite books. He's from Brazil, yeah. I saw him interviewed on Oprah. He had a 2-part interview. Fascinating. And you know what? People wouldn't publish his book for the longest time. His publisher didn't want to publish that work, and yet it became his most famous work. So believe in your work. Believe in yourself. If you can't find a publisher, you publish it yourself. Orpa? Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, I think you told me that before. Bad writers can also get hung up on too much feedback. And also remember that too much feedback can dumb it down. Now, what is that term, dumbing it down? For you writers that are also teachers, you'll know what that means. Isn't that great? I know. Divine. What does dumbing down mean? In the school systems, they call dumbing down so that an average of people can understand what they're talking about. In writing, dumbing down, what I call dumbing down, means that you're distilling your work to make everybody approve. You can't please everyone. Bad writers try to please everyone, and you can't do it and be a good writer. So stay true to your message. Know your writer's voice. I'm going to be talking about writer's voice, and I haven't decided what I'm going to talk about tomorrow, whether it's going to be writer's block or writer's voice. I haven't quite figured out, or your platform, one of those things. By dumbing your work down, by getting too much feedback and distilling it to please all people, it's detrimental to you as the writer. And then you never publish. Or if you do publish, it doesn't spark anything inside of the reader. You can sift through other minds, but you know how you feel externally. Yeah. Remember, it's your message. It's your message. It's your message for your reader. And while you were writing it, hopefully you were writing it with that reader in mind. Yes, Cynthia, it loses your voice. It loses your voice. I've had that experience. I had that experience in a blog that I wrote, and I just kept changing it with the feedback. And I recognized that there was, someone that I was asking to read it that really had a different writing style than mine. And it suddenly didn't sound like me at all. Now, there is an important process that the editor plays, and that's to keep you on track with your commas, your extraneous adverbs and adjectives, your sentence structure. I value that kind of stuff. But when it comes to changing my ideas are my ideas. You remain true to your ideas. In the end, there's really no good writing or bad writing, just how effective writing is. It can take the spark out of your sparkle. Yes, Kalila, there's so much I've forgotten trying to explain simply. Yeah. And you know what? Don't try and edit while you're writing, Judy. Write it and then you can edit it. Because if you try to distill it while you're writing, then you lose a lot of your voice and your heart. So write it first in a first draft and then edit. Because your creative mind is different than your editing mind. Your creative mind is your right brain. Your editing mind is your left brain. You don't want to do both in the same session. You break the flow. In the end, it all comes down to your why. Why do you want to write this story? You want to write it because it's your story. And I don't care whether it's fiction or nonfiction. It's your story. You created it. You take ownership of it. Why do you want to write it? Think about that. I don't know why you want to write. I know why I want to write. I knew why I wanted to write my book for parents who had lost children. I went into great detail on the 5-day challenge, how I worked on my why. Sometimes what you edit out can be used in something else, yes. Yes, and as a matter of fact, everything you write might have potential in a new book or a blog. So save everything, even drafts. If I write a draft of a chapter, many times I'll save it and then copy and paste into a new folder, because I don't want a new page, because I don't want to lose what I wrote in case I edit. Always work with 2 just in case you lose something. And by the way, I started on Scrivener, Cynthia. I love it. I haven't figured all the ins and outs of it. I'm still learning. I probably need to watch a few more YouTube videos on how to use it, but the basics of it are really working for me. So Scrivener, for those of you who don't know, is a word processing program like Microsoft Word, but writers love it. It's for the writer, created for the writer. So I am really excited. I've been doing so well with it. And I got feedback from lots of people about it. And Kristen, I think you also had said that Scrivener was great. I think I've decided to continue with Google Docs. Do it until you don't decide not to. Yeah, I was really happy that I made that change. This will be the first book I've ever written on Scrivener, so I'll let you know how it goes. So, in the end, return to the basics, your why. It makes all the difference as to what type of writer you are. A good writer or a bad writer. I suspect you're a good writer, or you wouldn't be on this broadcast. So that is my broadcast for you today. I'm so grateful that you joined me and you were here with me. Here are 10 tips for the writer. bit.ly/effective writer. I give 10 tips. If you are just starting your writing journey, that's a good way to start. Sort of an overview of the things that you need to do. And if you need more accountability, then join me in the mastermind program. Because, well, Shavana has her book at the publisher. Need I say more? Thank you. Oh, thank you, Jessica. I'm so grateful. Join me also on my live stream with Sandy Peckinpah group on Facebook. Right there. Live stream with Sandy Peckinpah. Join me and we can continue this conversation. Oh, thank you, Shavana. And Shavana will be on. Follow her. Hit what she just wrote and follow her because she's going to be on Periscope tomorrow around 12. She does 12 to 1. So follow her. Thank you so much for joining me. And I'll be back tomorrow. And I'll see you tomorrow, Shavana. Bye.